I'm back here bouncing. Hey yo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blaze the hot.
Transact to sound like Kevin. 7, 6, 5,
Okay, basically, you hear me? You hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Can the cameraman hear me?
Yeah, nigga.
I saw you on the speak.
Yes, sir. I do it real good, miss, sir.
Alright. Okay, basically, me, my good dude, Kashmir and Fives, we wanted to talk about a few things from a certain situation that I discovered on Facebook. Kashmir has a few topics that he wants to touch on that is not directly related to it, but is something to do with it. Quite tired, so my words might be very jumbled and it might not make much sense at certain times, so you just have to deal with it, yeah? So, alright, down to business. I was on Facebook the other day, right, and there's a class happening, there's a hip-hop class happening by a guy called Bobby Mileage, right, and this guy is from Elite Force crew, Elite Force, right? So Elite Force, you know, when you hear of Elite Force, you know that they're one of the pioneers of hip hop and were responsible for the creation of the dance. And Bobby Mileage is he still? Yeah, he's basically Elite Force. So Bobby Mileage is coming to London on the 16th of March to teach a hip hop workshop. Now this is a very good thing because one, the guy doesn't come to London a lot, and two, the UK really needs to learn its roots about hip hop. Now, what happened was I was on Facebook and I was looking at the event page, and on the event page you can obviously click attending, not attending, maybe, And at the time, when I clicked attending, the event page had 20 attendees, just 20. That's not a lot, yeah? And by chance, I looked on the right-hand side, and there was an event called something like UK Stand Up. So I clicked on that event just to see, because I saw a few of my friends attending. I clicked on it, and it had, like, literally, the exact number was 163 attendees. Now the problem I have with that is, I'm not hating on the event. I'm not hating on the people going there. I'm sure, oh, by the way, this event is 2 days after, so it's not like, it's not like months away. It's only 2 days after Bobby's workshop. So, I mean, I'm not like trying to imply that, some people, maybe some people can't make it, some people, maybe they ain't got enough money, maybe they got work on that particular day where Bobby's coming out. But I find it hard to believe when, like, a good 163 people are going to the performance, but hardly anyone is going to check out Bobby's class. And it's like, the problem I have with that is, here you have someone coming to teach you, not just a hip-hop workshop, but to teach you, to educate you about hip-hop. I mean, even the flyer, it says like 5 o'clock to a certain time, workshop, and then 6 o'clock to like 8 o'clock, hip-hop education. It actually says that, so there's no excuse. If someone sees the flyer and wants to learn about hip-hop, it actually says hip-hop talk and discussion. So you're going to learn about hip-hop, like no matter what. But, the issue I have is, if someone like Keone Madrid, I love the guy, but, Shit Kings, I love those dudes, fucking Lando Wilkins, like all of these LA, dancers, the moment one of those guys come down to teach, you see like 80, 90, 70, like all of those numbers, you see that amount of people clicking attend, on the event page, and I just have a problem with that because it was a wake-up call, it was a slap in the face. I saw it, I was like, oh my god, everything's in perspective. Because everyone wants to learn from the people don't want to learn their history, basically. That's what the issue is. Do you have anything to say?
Nothing. For me, it's because I've been observing, let's say, the London scene quite intently. Coming from Birmingham, I have a different perspective from those who, say, live in London. So I've kind of been watched the kind of hip-hop and house scene kind of grow in a sense, but there's still that kind of ignorance. So there's a lot of people who call themselves hip-hop dancers or new style dancers, but when something that is linked or related to the cultural history of hip-hop or house, the people don't turn up. The people that usually turn up to workshops, like when we brought Byron down, the people who, not in a sense, no disrespect, but not seen as the best. So, you know, people in top groups like name a few, Boy Blue, Bird Gang, Dance to Excess, all these kind of top crews. Well, I was expecting those people to come down because they're meant to be people who are leading the scene, so to speak. Whereas I know we don't get that many people, pioneers or people who are around pioneers who know the history, that come down and teach. So when that comes down, I expected them, boom, to turn up, to kind of help boost their skills. And we had like, what, 22 people? And they were just people who generally go to classes, not necessarily professional dancers or dancers in general. And that was like a wake-up call thing, that why do the people who are meant to be leading scenes, who call themselves house or hip-hop dancers, who don't turn up when good things come down? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's funny. I don't know whether it's just the mentality of UK or London in general, but it's not something that's not unknown outside of the UK as well. Because even Bobby said in a video once that the UK is sleeping.
Yes, we're sleeping. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm probably gonna edit the footage and put that video in there. Say, London, you need to wake up. You need to wake up.
I just want to tell London, London, y'all are sleeping. Hard. Yeah. That's real talk. London is sleeping hard. I'm sorry. But I don't know. You come to Japan, guess where Japan learned from? Guess why they are so nasty? I mean, seriously, wait till you see the kids perform. Seriously, London, come on, wake up. Time is running out.
The UK is sleeping because the people who have the ability to bring someone down and to teach don't. As Charlie said, they bring down choreographers, which is good, but you know, there's no balance. People know all about choreography and names and styles, but they don't actually know the history of the dance. Which for me, if you don't know the history or anything about the culture, then your dance is, in a sense, meaningless. It's just movement. You know what I mean?
I mean, a lot of the guys, a lot of the people that we're talking about, I'm sure a lot of them, if I was to ask a lot of dancers who go to the studio and take classes, if I was to speak to them and say, do you love dance? Most of them, I'm sure 100% of them would say they do. They'll say they love dance, they say they love hip hop. My question that I pose to these people is, if you love something, like this is what he told me before, so I'm going to give him credit for this one. But he made me realize, anything you love to take part in, everything you love to do, you learn about it. You will go out of your way to learn everything about the history of what it is you love. If I love Naruto, I will research Naruto. I will find out the guy who made it. I will find out when it started. I will find out what he was inspired by. I will discover this because I love Naruto as a manga series, as an anime series. I will go out of my way to find the truth and to find the details behind it. So the same concept applies to dance. If you claim to love hip hop, for you to claim to love hip hop and then only take classes, only go to the studio and learn choreography and completely disregard the freestyle culture, which is what hip hop pretty much was born from, then do you really love hip hop? You know? And I think the thing is, some people who will say they love hip hop might not necessarily mean it, because I think a lot of people just really love to learn choreography and perform choreography, and I can understand that passion because choreography is beautiful. It's an art to it. Like, I love doing choreography. When I see choreo cookies on stage, they're my favorite group. Like, I love the amount of times I've watched their shows over and over. I love the transitions. I love the performance value. I love their song choice. I love their lines. I love everything about their performances. So I know there's other people out there that watch these performances and agree, they feel the same thing. They see these guys on stage and like, oh, I can't wait to go Pineapple or Sugar 68 tomorrow and learn some choreography and look like on point with the choreographer and doing that. I love it. Like, I can understand why people like that. So what I think people need to do is, reflect upon themselves and say to themselves, do they love the true essence of hip hop, or do they just love performing in choreography? Because if you love that's fine, because that means you're more geared towards the industry. It means you're more geared to being on TV or music videos, in dance performances, like all of that commercial stuff. It means maybe that's for you. Maybe that's what you want your career to be. Maybe you want to make money that way. That's fine. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I don't think people realize that by only going to a class where they teach choreography, you're only preparing yourself for the hip-hop industry. You're not learning about the whole hip-hop as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not learning the whole circle of it. You're just learning a half circle, and you don't know that you're just leading towards the industry, which is fine if you know that's what you're doing. So, I'm here to say that if that's not what you want and you love hip hop, then there's certain people you need to watch, there's certain people you need to listen to, there's certain classes you need to take, and there's certain things you need to do to really show and understand why it's important to do these things before you claim that you love hip hop.
I think because I was going to make a separate video about the love of dance myself, but I was getting it all out here because it's coming out. I think the standard of love for certain things are a lot lower than someone who has a passion for that kind of love. So I don't know whether it's a blow. I guess it's role models, because role models really kind of reflect on the youth, and then it affects you how you grow up. So for me, in terms of passion, I took passion not from humans but from things on TV like cartoons, because that passion is raw, because it's fantasy in a sense, whereas in modern day the passion for something is not as it should be, so to speak. So a lot of people say they love dance, and they kind of use I love dance as a defense to not learn the culture, because I've been to a few people in Birmingham and said, okay, you need to know your foundations of this and that, and they were like, oh, just leave me alone, we love dance, why can't you just take that, stop hating. That don't make no sense. Like, I'm trying to help you become a better dancer, because if knowing your history and culture automatically will make you a better dancer about knowing history of your movement. The standard of love is low. Like, a lot of people say, I love dance, I love hip-hop, and as Charles was saying, if you love something, you're going to research it. You may not know all about it, but you're going to look for that shit. So if you go to someone that goes, I love astronomy, and you're like, how many planets are in our solar system? And 6, you know what I mean? They don't know. That person will be like, there's 9, the circumference of the moon is this, the surface of the sun is this hot, they'll know all that shit. It's the same thing applies to hip-hop dance. A lot of people now are going, I love hip-hop, I do hip-hop, I do new style. But if you question them, like, what's hip-hop, what is new style, what are the roots, people are like, I don't know. So if you don't know that shit, then you don't love it. It's more like a trend rather than a lifestyle. Because hip-hop, in a dance culture, is a lifestyle in general. So if you don't live the lifestyle, then you can't really be what it is. You know what I mean?
So the lifestyle, I think some people, there's a confusion amongst a lot of people as well. There's one guy I know who is let's just call them studio dancers. That's what I like. That's the term I like to use. And every time I tell him there's a certain battle event or freestyle competition, he doesn't like to come because he's like, oh no man, it's like I don't like the way it's too aggressive. There's too much. Sometimes like they look like they want to beat each other up. Like I just like learning choreography and all that stuff. And what saddens me about that is that he has a misconception about the underground freestyle community. He feels that it's all negativity when that's not the case. No matter where you go, you're gonna get arrogant dancers, you're gonna get negativity, you're gonna get hate, even in the studio. I might argue that there's even more negativity and hate in the studio and arrogance than in the underground community. So and I know there's a lot of studio dancers who feel a similar thing. They're happy in the studio, they're happy in front of a mirror, and that's all they know, and that's all they'll ever know, and that's all they want to know. So they don't really want to, they don't care
comfort
to come
zone.
the comfort zone. They don't want to get out of that. So, I just find it quite sad that there's so much to gain, because the thing is, like, when I saw that list of people on going to like I said, no hate towards the UK stand-up event. It's like, I'm sure there's going to be great performances and stuff. I'm sure I would enjoy it if I went to watch it. But there was so much people in that list that I know, because when you look at these events, I think the list of like 10 names, it shows you the people who are going to that event. I saw so much people and it was just like, all of you would benefit so much from going to someone like Bobby's class because he's here to educate, you know. And the saddening thing is as well is that, like, this guy, I don't know when the last time he came was. You know, he's probably not going to come again for a while. But how many street dance events do we get in a month? Like, there's Move It. Well, Move It is not a street dance event, but there's events like Move It. There's events like this UK street dance. There's events like there was serious about street dance the other day. There's all, like, street dance is getting more commercial. It's getting more popular. There's events like this every day. You know, people are finding a lot more ways to make money off of these events. That's why they're becoming a lot more frequent. So my problem is, it's like, bro, that shit happens every month, every 2 months, every week even. So you would choose to go to something that happens as frequently as that and miss out on something that might not happen again until next year.
Yeah.
That is terrible, you know. That is literally, and it's the majority that are doing that. Because remember, Bobby Mileage class, 20 people, UK Street Dance event, 163. And I remember, I understand it's an event, but okay, let's just replace it. Bobby Mileage, 20 people, shit kings, you still get like 80. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like, that's the problem I see. It's like, for something that happens so frequently as that, is it really going to hurt you to attend something that could happen once a year? You know, something that you might not get another opportunity. Because these dancers, they're getting old. Like, raw, like, these guys, some of them are in their like late 30s, hitting 40s. People like Brian Green. What if they break their knee? What if they stop dancing? You know, then they won't be able to teach as much or at all. Then you've missed out on a whole era or a whole generation of knowledge. You know, so like my main passion or my main goal out of making this video is to just make people, like, I'm not trying to, because a lot of the time, like, don't get me wrong, there's people on both sides of the coin who hate on, you know, the other side for stupid reasons. Like, you know, the underground, there's a lot of underground guys who are like, oh, fuck LA style, all of that shit. You know, fuck going classes, fuck Pineapple, man. I teach myself. You know, and I don't really like that attitude because there's a lot of beneficial aspects
in both sides.
Exactly, in both sides. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of studio dancers are dope dancers. They're clean. You know, they got their lines straight. They look good. They have good performance value because at the end of the day they're learning how to perform. You know, someone who learns a lot of choreography and knows how to approach auditions might has the potential to be a better freestyle dancer than anyone else because they have the showmanship aspect, they have the performance aspect, not just the foundations that we learn in the underground freestyle community. So, what was my main point?
Point is, you need to fix up.
Yeah.
Because like, it's got to a point where I'm not sugarcoating things, but I'm kind of just putting it out there.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be less of the sugarcoating than just telling people, yo, you need to fix up. Like, if you're a hip-hop dancer, you know, act like one. Don't say you are one and then don't come to a workshop when one of the pioneers comes to the UK. I'm sure they've come before. I'm not, because I've heard they said they've come before. I don't know who brought them over. But I never heard of that shit. You know, they're here now and it's on Facebook. And everyone's on Facebook. So you can see that shit. So I'm just going to put it out there. People need to fix up in the UK.
And it's not like, when we say, like, fixing up is one of many things that we need to do. Like, all I ask of people is to just accept the other side of the coin. So whether you're hardcore in the underground, accept, you know, and at least appreciate what is positive and good about the studio dancers and vice versa. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, it's best to mix both worlds and appreciate both. Because, you know, whether you have your opinion on one side, opinion on the other, at least we both should be part of the same family. You know, there shouldn't be like violent hate towards one another. My goal is to just, if you're a studio dancer and that's all you do is learn choreography, look into the underground, look into the foundations, look into these teachers, like at least go out of your way to learn more about it. You know, I'm not asking you, I'm not saying,
It just hit me. Yeah, no, for sure you're saying.
I'm not telling you to, like, you know, if you only dance in the studio, I'm not saying get your ass to fucking SDK UK or just to boot and compete and battle now because you're shit, you need to prove to. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying know about these events, go to these events, maybe even take part. Just begin to acknowledge the other side, and then we can make a start at fixing things. Because this is one thing I need to say as well. There's going to be a point where a new generation of children will be born, and they will have missed out on the era of when hip-hop dance was created. That sounds confusing. Let me clarify what that means. Okay, Elite Force around 1995 is when they came into the 90s, like sort of 1994.
Even like that.
Something like that.
Can't quote it.
Around let's just say 1995. I was 5 years old, right? I didn't know nothing about dance. I wasn't dancing, none of that. But at least I was alive when Elite Force when hip hop as a dance culture was being made. Now, obviously as a 5-year-old, I'm not going to see them on TV. The 5-year-old in London, I'm not going to see them on TV and start dancing. But at least I was alive during that time because I have older brothers. I have older brothers that could have been into dance, and they could have seen a video somewhere, read a magazine, and then they could have then been dancing, and then I would have been a 5-year-old living in a house where my brothers are into hip hop dance, and then I would have subliminally been receptive to it, and at least taken some of it in. So at least I was alive during, not just me, but anyone who was born in the 90s. I was born in 1990. I was alive during the construction of hip-hop dance as a style. So it's easier for me to look back and try and find the history for it. Now what happens when someone who was born in 2008, who's not born when it was created, and not enough people even know, people like us, people in our age, around our age group, not enough people know the truth and know the foundations. So then what are those 2008 babies going to learn? Because if the hardcore foundation is too far off for them, or no one's teaching it to them, then literally they're just going to be lost, and they're going to be calling what they do hip-hop, most likely. And it's like, is it really hip-hop? It's not. But at the same time, you won't really be able to blame them because no one was there to teach them. There was not enough people who knew the truth to then pass it down to them. Because eventually the foundations, the original guys, the senseis, the creators, they will die first, pretty much. They're more likely to disappear, first, before the people who learned from them. And the people who had the chance to learn from them didn't learn from them, and then don't have the ability to pass on the truth downwards, then the generations that come are just going to be more and more lost. Unless we just start calling new style, just replace hip hop with new style, and then everything's solved.
In short, the next generation's fucked in many different ways, not just in hip hop culture, but in general. Looking at the economy and all that kind of stuff, the next generation kind of fucked. But in terms of hip hop, if no one in this generation is going to even bother to learn it, the next generation, no one's going to know what hip hop is. Because no one really knows what it is now, so it's like, what's going on? So it's like, I don't know specifically the development of LA style, whatever you want to call it, choreography, but I'm sure it's born from hip hop, from original hip hop freestyle. So if people say they even really love LA style, can they really say that? Because if they don't understand the culture of where LA style come from, because I'm sure it came from hip hop. So do you love choreography? Do you love hip hop?
Ultimately the sad thing is like, some people, they learn all this choreography and they don't know that they're just deviating themselves from the great dancer that they could have been or could be. So my final message is just appreciate and accept and seek out the foundation and the truth from people who are coming out of their way from overseas to teach it. Because when someone like Bobby Mileage, this is the same guy who said London is sleeping, y'all need to wake up. He said this, he's coming still to teach, and people aren't coming. So that video, because to be honest, when I first saw that video, I was thinking, that's not fair. Like, we don't need to wake up. We just, I was a bit defensive because he basically went on the attack about my city. He said we need to wake up. That's a big statement, but it's the truth, and he still has the decency and, the kindness to come down and teach a workshop, regardless if 15 or 20 people show up. So people really need to appreciate that and jump on the ship and learn some shit.
Yeah, so I don't know about when they bring choreographers over, they pay their airfare and their accommodation, all that kind of shit. But the last two people that are coming, like Byron who came and Bobby who's coming, have all paid their own way to come here to teach you.
Yeah. I can speak on that as well. I know for a fact these studio dancers, when Shit Kings come, when Kelly comes, when what's his face from Soul Crew comes, Andrew Barry, people pay their flight because they'll say to you like, okay, I used to be in TK Spin, right? And TK and when she would organize for teachers to come, they'll speak online, they'll speak on the phone, and then she will pay for the flight most of the time. I don't want to say all of the time in case there was one time she did it, but I guarantee you that she always paid for the flight. And they would say, like, how am I getting there? If my ticket ain't getting paid for, I'm not coming. So the flight is getting paid for, and they're getting guaranteed money. So they're not going out of their way to spend no money. But these guys, their own money, their own job, coming. Exactly. So it's so sad that they're not getting the respect that they deserve, So yeah, I'm so glad I'm listening.
I don't think the video will be too long for the carry on. Part 2 coming soon.
Part 2, coming part 2, So yeah, that's the main message. Just appreciate both sides, and learn some shit. Learn the truth. And click attending. Yeah.
And then attend.
So check out the class. I'm gonna have footage of the class actually, so if you missed out on it, you're still gonna be able to see it. So thanks for watching. Charlie good?